Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. As a lot of you are everywhere around the world, let me know if you can hear me well. Brady Girding says silver prediction for gold for silver tomorrow, up or down. I think the trend medium term is higher. It's very difficult to predict whether it's going to go up or down in one day. A-OK, says Brady. Hi, Alan Zibelman. Nice to see you here. Shazam from Detroit, The Great Closet. Alain Roy from Bonjour de Montréal, au Canada. Audio good. That's good. Hi, Carlos. Hi, Sam. Ross Martindale. Yeah, Billy is here. He's asleep right now. He has had his walks today. Stacker NZ or NZ, greetings. He says hello. Joker Alpha. So yeah, we will do the usual. We'll wait until 9 o'clock. The title of the live stream is "Supply Chains Under Threat as U.S. and Canada Impose Mandates for Truck Drivers." Yeah, and I have to thank one of the viewers for alerting me to this on Twitter. I got a message this morning. I hadn't looked into this, and I think it's very serious, and that's why I want to talk about it, and also about other things. We'll do the usual Q&A. Dave L says hello. New Jersey in the house. Carlos Garcia. Ann Sanderson, hello, Ann. Native American says crypto slaughter on Monday. Well, we've already had a crypto slaughter, I would say, in the last, since it made a top at 68,000, we got down to 34,000 this week. So a 50% haircut. Am I going to slag off Bitcoin? No, but I've always told people if they want to get involved in cryptos, make sure that they put in what they can afford to lose, not more, and not to leverage. And that's the message, because cryptocurrencies are very volatile. So Mark Baird says, finally made a live show. David Bradley, hello, David. Neil Hahn saying hello to Cheshire Yeoman. Hi, Cheshire Yeoman. Paul Lord Humongous, Team Moneconomics. Yeah, I think you came up with that phraseology, I think. Paul Weens from Southern Manitoba. MW351 says truck drivers parked trucks in the American side just walked. It's reported the American Canadian. Oh, yeah, and yeah, we're going to look into that in a minute. Lord Humongous, more big tech slaughter. Yeah, it looks that way. Status of Evergrande affecting crypto. I'm not too sure if Evergrande will affect crypto that much. Yeah, there's a lot of rumors that Tether has a lot of commercial paper in it. No one really knows which commercial paper it has in it because there's no audit being done of Tether. Tether is actually a Bahamas-based company. That's where they do all their banking. Paper Time Machine says, not an investor, but love to listen and learn. Well, the other thing, I have told people that investing is not just about the financial markets. It's also about investing in yourself, in your family. You don't have to invest in the stock market. It can be any business. It can be investing in your skills or your uh, family skills, whatever. So yeah, I think there's too much focus on getting rich quick, the quick buck, and that's why, and that's how people probably get in trouble. I'm not slagging off or saying that investing in the stock market is not a good thing, but I think you need to do your homework and you need to know the business you're investing in. You're not just investing or trading because everyone's doing it. Buddha says, you're making your mark in history. I wouldn't go that far. I'm just doing my best, trying to help people out, trying to inform them. Uh, Hopefully, yeah, make a little dent on things. Over here says, I wish the conspiracies hadn't turned into reality. So we got another 5 minutes to go. And we'll start talking a little more about what's going on in terms of the supply chain. And of course, you will see, I have a few articles here talking about the situation not only in Canada, but also in the US. And it looks like there's a concerted effort to do this together from Canada and the United States. Lightning for thee, thank you. Same to you. Lord Humunga says a little dent is better than a hairy dent. Oh boy. It's not just the Canadians that are doing this mandate. It's the Americans as well. We're going to see it. Canadians, I think, started about a week ago. And yeah, Homeland Security now is there's a new rule that took effect yesterday in the US. So it's going to be just as bad for any truckers driving from Canada or from Mexico. Dave Martin from Cornwall. Danny Dan, Russia ready to take Ukraine. China will take Taiwan. Well, I'm not too sure about whether Russia wants to take over the Ukraine. I just think Russia doesn't want NATO in the Ukraine, but I don't think Russia wants to take over the Ukraine. That's just Western media propaganda, and the same thing for Taiwan. All right. We've got Mr. Blueberry from the great Mr. Blueberry. Okay. Hello from him. Hi, Mr. Blueberry. All right. So we got a few more minutes. Boris Bolshevik Johnson trying to look like the hero for lifting mandates. Well, we'll see. I mean, I'd rather have no mandates and not have to wear the thing on my face. I have never worn it anyway, but things seem to be a lot easier now here. Whether that's calculated or whether they will come back with mandates and everything else, I don't know. But for now, I think it's a good thing. I saw there are huge protests in Brussels, Belgium. That's the capital of Belgium, and it's also the head of the EU. 50,000 people in a city of less than 200,000. It's quite significant. Thank you for your super chat, I-13. breaking news, Russia may allow gold-backed stable coins under government control, according to lawmaker. Well, I haven't seen that. Don't know where you got that news, but we'll have to look into that later. So I'm gonna start sharing some stuff here. And this is, I was sent this from one of the viewers through a message on Twitter. And I hadn't really looked into this. So that's always, so that's why this is a community. And I apologize, you might see some adverts pop up. Yeah, this is a community, and when people send me things, I can't look at everything, but this caught my attention. Convoy of truckers against vaccine mandates ready to roll onto Ottawa, with more than 2 million support from an online fundraisers. Truckers plan to take their protests across the country to Parliament Hill. But this is more important than just the protests, even though it's important that they're protesting. So it says here, cross-border transport trucks cross paths on the Peace Bridge at Canada-US border in Buffalo, New York. So very important. Yeah, the trade between Canada and the US is very important, and Mexico. And we're going to come to that in a minute. So I think there is a video that came out earlier this week about this American truck driver that stopped at the border, and this guy threw these tests and masks at him. Very, very authoritarian. So, yeah, hopefully, the Canadian truckers will succeed in, how can I say, reversing these mandates, because I think it's going to create a lot of problems and shortages. So what caught my attention is that I was reading this article, and it said that the US was going to be mandating the same so here it is. This is what caught my attention. Tomorrow, which was yesterday, actually, in relationship to this article, the United States vaccine mandate on freight drivers will come into effect. Now, both countries will have rules prohibiting unvaccinated truckers from crossing the border. So I think this is highly significant. So what we will look at now, and if any of you want to read these, I've put it in the description of the live stream. I wanted to show you some data just to show you how Canada, not just Canada, but Mexico, it's going to be affecting trucks coming from Mexico. So this is from the United States Census Bureau, November 2020, top trading partners. So there you go. Mexico, total trade, $604.2 billion. Canada, the same actually, 604.2. So you could argue both countries are the top trading partners of the United States. China is number 3. So China is not the top trading partner, as you can see. So for Mexico and Canada, the United States trade is the most important trade as well. And the other article I wanted to show, it's actually from a senator. He's actually a Democratic senator, and he is from Montana. So that's his name. Tester urges Biden administration to stop upcoming DHS, or Department of Homeland Security, mandate and coordinate with Canada on vaccine requirements for truck drivers, other essential workers. So yeah, this is very significant. You might think that the other thing that I've seen from reading some other articles is that every car manufactured in the US has at least one part from Canada. So you disrupt the supply chain, the whole automotive industry will be affected in the US. But it's not only that. If you read here this post by this senator, he says, as a part of this continued effort to strengthen Montana's economy amid COVID-19 pandemic, U.S. Senator John Tesser this week urged President Biden to halt the implementation of the upcoming vaccine mandate for truck drivers entering the U.S. and to coordinate with Canadian officials. So it says here, so it's not just about manufacturing. Over the last few weeks, I have heard from Montana farmers and ranchers who are concerned that these new requirements will make it more difficult for them to get fertilizer and other supplies. Montana producers faced extraordinary difficult drought conditions over the past year and cannot afford further disruptions as they work to plant this year's crop. The administration must work to protect and increase trade and essential travel across the northern border, not put additional roadblocks in the way. That, my friends, is why I think this is highly significant. I know there's a lot of distractions out there, geopolitical with the Ukraine, but it could be huge because you've got the United States, major trading partners, Canada, Mexico, and all the trucking, transportation is all could be not totally disrupted, but disrupted in a big way. And with just-in-time inventory, with modern supply chains, it's all you disrupt a small part of the supply chain, you disrupt the whole thing. I think it's very significant. It could be one of the reasons why we're seeing the stock market come off, not just the technology. Maybe the markets are forecasting a massive slowdown. And in China, we know as well, China is a huge trading partner of the US. They have a zero COVID rule, and that's impacting many things, of course. So I'll take some questions for you now, and then we'll look at some articles in a minute, some more that I have. Mickey says, no mandates in DC today. Rally with various groups and George Gammon. Well, they did impose that mandate yesterday. So I don't know if they're going to reverse that. I haven't heard any news about that. Alain Roy says food shelves are already empty in most stores in Montreal, Canada. Yeah, and they could start getting empty in the US and even even Mexico. I guess you could. I don't know much about Mexico. Depth Knox, thank you for your super chat. Thanks for covering this, Mario. Our publicly funded $1.4 billion a year state media is trying to downplay and suppress this info. Canadians are still sleeping. Yeah, as I said, I haven't really heard much about this, even in the alternative media. But I think this is really significant, considering Canada and America are each other's basically biggest trading partners, and you could have a lot of disruption because just like here in the UK, the NHS health workers, they've been protesting. Like I think they have 100,000 that haven't had the this medical procedure, and they've had to postpone the mandates for that because they were protesting. So the hope here is that, like the protest in Canada, I think the truck drivers, they left British Columbia recently, or going to leave today, and they're going to be they plan to be in Ottawa, I think by the 29th, and disrupt things over there. So, but unfortunately, I think even if they reverse these mandates, the problems they might be causing in the next few weeks could create a problem with the supply chain over the coming months. So, what's that going to do? I think it's going to mean higher prices, and that's not something we need right now. It's going to be stagflationary, of course, because um, yeah, the economies are slowing down. Grow Mechanic is late, but is here. Looter 92 says it's just stupid. Um, yeah, it makes you wonder, but I think it's more than just stupid. I think it's they're trying to demolish the economies. They want to build back better, right? That's their plan. Hopefully, they will fail. Steve F is late from Ireland. Joker Alpha in a bank bail-in. Who gets the cash when your savings account takes a haircut? Well, the bank takes the cash. What they do is actually they did in Cyprus. Let's say you have 100 in Cyprus. I think anything over 100,000 was taken. So let's say you had a half a million euros in your bank account, you'd still have the 100,000, but the other 400,000, the bank took that cash and then they gave you shares in that bank equity, which was probably at the time worthless. So you basically lost your cash and you got a swap, cash for equity. Um, I don't know how those people did in Cyprus. Um, if they could afford to hold on to those shares in that bank, they might have gotten their money back after many years. But that's how a bail-in works. The Watcher says, "Good evening, Super Mario and the Billster." Thank you. Uh, Silver Bones. Echo says, "If Ukraine falls, Taiwan falls next." I think it's much more intricate than that. I think this is Ukraine and Russia and Taiwan and China. It's more the West. The West doesn't have anything left, really. I would say the West is bankrupt. I think China and Russia are much more powerful than people think. Uh, I think not just China and Russia, but the whole world is fed up with having one country telling people what to do. So Ukraine is more about spheres of influence because NATO and the West want to control the Ukraine, and all Russia wants. They don't want to invade the Ukraine. They just want to have uh, the sphere of influence over the Ukraine, just like the U.S. still has its sphere of influence on the West. I think it's going to backfire totally for the United States and the UK. UK intelligence is writing up reports that Russia's trying to install a puppet as president or prime minister of the Ukraine, and they're the same country that wrote the Steele dossier. That was the UK. The same intelligence people that told us that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. So I think it's a big distraction. I don't think it's going to end up in a war. And I think, yes, August 15th, 2021 was a significant date. That's when Afghanistan fell. I mean, the US had to left Afghanistan and in a mess. It was a messy exit. And I think, yeah, this is not going to work out. Am I pro-Russian or pro-Chinese? No, I'm just being realistic here. And yeah, this is what I think. They want a multipolar world, not just a unipolar world. uh, that we got as a result of the fall of the Soviet Union. James Hafford says, Canada imports a lot of food across the board. Do you think they will relax the trucker vax for the sake of food? Well, that's we'll see. We'll see. Right now, they haven't. They haven't relaxed anything. And that's how crazy these people are. I think there was a comment from that article from the Toronto Sun. One of the politicians in Canada made a comment like, "Oh, I've been to the shops and I couldn't find any pumpkin, but everything is there." So they're even dismissive, and like I would say that's a pretty yeah disrespectful comment, because as you said, it could be very serious. Uh, Steve Ross Holmes, if silver were, thank you for your super chat. If silver were to really start moving higher, will the government make silver strategic metal, blame speculators, restrict prices and ownership? I don't know. I don't know. Anything's possible, but I would say maybe during World War II, there were restrictions, I think, in terms of silver. Um, are we going to have a major war? I personally don't think so. I think they're already restricting price and ownership. They've been doing that for the last 40 years. So I think very few people have actually got physical silver. Yeah, many people don't even know about silver in terms of owning it as an investment. War. I personally don't think so. Sorry, I had so this is an article as well to do with the US mandates. So let's bring it up and let's go through it to see how important it is really. Let's zoom into it a bit. So US mandates on freight drivers coming from Canada may worsen auto supply chain shortage. About 12,000 unvaxxed drivers won't be allowed to enter the country starting later this month. Well, that was yesterday, actually. So it says here a COVID-19 vaccination requirement that will bar unvaxxed drivers of freight trucks coming from Canada to deliver goods across American border this month may exacerbate supply chain issues for auto parts, experts say. Estimated 12,000 drivers could be prohibited from entering the U.S. under a mandate that may take effect Saturday, according to the Canadian Trucking Alliance. The U.S. mandate announced in October requires all essential foreign travelers, including truck drivers who cross U.S. land border, to be fully vaxxed. Essential non-resident travelers had been able to enter the U.S. during the pandemic, regardless of their status, in part so as not to disrupt trading and to give them more time to get vaccinated. So let's see here. The border restriction will make the automotive supply chain issue worse, said Doug Betts, president of Global Automotive Division at JD Power, a data and analytics company focused on the auto industry. He noted that auto parts come from all over the world, and one obstruction in the chain can significantly slow or stop production. It says here, I would be surprised if there are any US cars that don't have at least one Canadian-based part. Canada is a pretty important part of auto manufacturing. Any part that doesn't arrive, or if there is something wrong with it, you can't build it. There's more points of failure. US auto parts come from Canada. US auto imports from Canada were 14 billion last year, while its auto imports from Mexico were 51.6 billion. So yeah, very important. And you disrupt the automotive industry in the US, you disrupt jobs, you disrupt many things. It's not just the production of the goods. Refined hayseed appellation. Thank you for the super chat. I'll split it with Billy 50-50. We are equal partners. That's right. You get quite a few treats with that. Lord Humongous says China likes to steal minerals. There is $1 trillion under Afghanistan. Well, it's not only China that's been stealing minerals. I would look at North America, the biggest country there, the United States. They've been stealing minerals for many decades from other countries. I guess you could argue. Think of Iraq, the invasion of Iraq, and the oil. But I mean, powerful countries are always trying to, to do that. Whether I'm not sure the Chinese are going to really succeed in Afghanistan. Afghanistan has been a really tough country to control. It's been called the graveyard of empires. And I would say the beginning of the end of the Soviet Empire started in Afghanistan. The Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in 1979, and 11 years later, that that empire collapsed. United States invaded Afghanistan in 2002. They haven't collapsed yet, 20 years later, but they're close to. Danielle Moreau, thank you for your super chat. Joker Alpha, what will it take for paper US dollar to no longer have monetary credibility? What is the value of numbers on a green cotton paper? Well, I think the paper US dollar will be around for decades to come. And you might think that's surprising, but it's just going to be worth a lot less. Or it might even disappear. I mean, the British pound, back before World War I, was the world reserve currency. It's still around, but back then, for example, one pound was $4.88. I think almost $5, and now 1 pound is $1.35. So it's been a slow decline. But I have a feeling because the British pound, when it was the world's reserve currency, it was a sound currency. It was backed by gold. The U.S., yes, it has been backed by gold up until 1971, but we've had 50 years of a fiat reserve currency. So it actually might not last as long as sterling has, but if that were to happen, all other fiat currencies would have a lot of trouble. They might have to rename it. I don't know. Maybe it would be the Fed coin. And even that, I don't think I would trust it. Maybe they will need to bring gold and silver back. That's usually what happens after collapses of currencies, especially major reserve currencies. You have to bring back real money to back it. Silver Beast thinks the dollar dies in March. I think what we're going to see is because there's a lot of dollars offshore everywhere in the world because countries need dollars to transact, but that's decreasing more and more because countries like Russia, China, and other countries around the world, they're making bilateral agreements amongst each other to trade in their own currencies, so they won't need as many dollars. We saw Russia sign an agreement with Saudi Arabia last August for a defense agreement. They're going to be trading their own currencies. So the less people need dollars to trade and transact, the more they're going to get rid of it. Because if you don't need it, so what happens when they don't need it? Well, they send it back, they sell it, and those dollars will go back to the US. And that's going to make the the money supply in the US go through the roof even more, and that means more debasement and higher prices. So yes, that's what's going to happen. Is it the collapse of the dollar? Well, it's the collapse of the value of the dollar, and it's been happening since the Fed was created, of course, in 1913. Scott 49 140. Have you seen Mike Maloney's episode 7, Hidden Monies of Secret, Hidden Secrets of Money, Collapse of the Dollar? Well, I watched those Mike Maloney's uh, Secrets of Hidden Money of Secrets many years ago. So yeah, um, haven't watched it recently. Rolf Steiner says USA is the military muscle of the British Zionist Empire. Well, I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, in 2020, I remember Boris Johnson, he didn't want to do a lockdown, but then the pound dropped to like 114. And then he announced a lockdown, and all of a sudden the Fed came in and provided a swap line for the Bank of England and saved the pound. So I'm not too sure about that, Rolf, who's in charge. But I think we are in the UK. We have to toe the line, be it whoever's in charge, and America is still, the Federal Reserve and the dollar. That's why when the dollar goes, the pound is going to go as well. But so are all other fiat currencies. Maybe not as much. I think countries like China, Russia, and a lot of the other emerging market countries, they're doing the right thing by adding gold to their reserves. And if you look at Europe as well, the EU, not sure how credible those numbers are, but I would say definitely Germany, they've got over 3,500 tons of gold. Italy and France have over 2,000 tons. So I think Europe will be okay. But yeah, we're seeing already the inflation coming through. Well, the consequence of it, PPI going up double digits throughout Europe. We're approaching 10% CPI and RPI in the UK and the US. Oh, iHang says the GoFundMe Freedom Convoy has already raised 2.5 million. Yeah, when I read this article first this morning, it was up to 1.7 million. So that's a good thing. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, I wanted to play this. I'm gonna play this video, and this is not bashing Bitcoin, but it's just to show you how dangerous it can be to leverage. So this guy here, who's what?
If I told you, I know.
Well, hold on. This guy, Michael Saylor, he's what people call a Bitcoin maximalist, and this is what he said on March 10th. 2021 about Bitcoin, and I'm going to play it for you.
If I told you, I know how it all ends, right? Once you know how it all ends, that the only use of time is, how do I buy more Bitcoin? But take all your money, buy Bitcoin, then take all your time, figure out how to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin, then take all your time and figure out what you can sell to buy Bitcoin. And if you absolutely love the thing that you don't want to sell it, go mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with it. And if you've got a business that you love because your family works for the business that's in your family for 37 years and you can't bear to sell it, mortgage it, finance it, and convert the proceeds into the hardest money on earth, which is Bitcoin. So what I would say is, use all your time to acquire Bitcoin, finance entities and weaker currencies to buy Bitcoin, or educate yourself on why this.
So I'm going to stop right here. So as you can see, when he made those comments, Bitcoin was trading at 57,000. And right now we're around 34, 35,000. So I think it's a reckless advice to give people, even on this channel, when I talk about gold and silver. And maybe you could call me a gold and silver maximalist. But when people ask me, should I borrow to buy gold and silver, I tell them no, because it's very dangerous. So, and this is not even a kick against Bitcoin that I'm trying to show here, but it's more the fact that this guy is pushing people to not just borrow, but like mortgage their homes, mortgage their businesses. I mean, it's just crazy. And it makes you wonder how many people have lost a lot, because a lot of people don't understand leverage. It works really nicely when the market goes up if you borrow to go long. But when it turns, if you leverage too much, and a lot of people don't understand leverage, you can lose more than you have, and it can wipe you out. So yeah, we'll have to see, what happens to Bitcoin, and because there's a lot of volatility, and that's the other problem with leverage when there's a lot of volatility. Joker Alpha, are you seeing less and less bank tellers at your local bank? I hardly go into my bank, really, but I went a few times last year, and yeah, the service is a lot worse. It's almost like they're trying to push people not to go to the bank anymore, but they have to stay open because a lot of the seniors or the elderly people, they don't use online banking. So yeah, they still need to keep it open, but I'm sure they're going to try to close more and more branches. James Hafford, don't ever sell Billy to get Bitcoin. No, Billy's not for sale. Graham Hobbs says Billy does not like HEX or Hex. To be honest, I think I've heard of that, but I don't even know what it is. I guess it's a cryptocurrency. By Shiba Inu. Well, I post my videos and live streams on Hive and Steam it, and I earned some of those cryptocurrencies. And Hive did really well in the last few months. It went from 80 cents in November all the way up to like $3. And I sold, because I do like power downs, but I don't sell all my Hive. But I'm glad I exchanged some of it into fiat, and now it's like below $1. So yeah, and I don't do it as speculation anyway. Buddha, do you own any Ukrainian Archangel Sovereign silver? No, I don't have any Ukrainian. I've got a couple of Armenian 1 ounce silver coins. Yeah, but not Ukrainian coins. I wouldn't mind having a Ukrainian silver coin. I wouldn't mind having a silver coin from anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where the silver coin or the silver comes from, and that's why silver and gold are money, because they're neutral. They're not political. They're the same everywhere. Girl Olgi, thank you for your super chat. Norwegian government invited Taliban Norway and the travel with a private jet. Who Norwegian paying for? It's all a theater. World is long gone. Also, you're saying they've brought a lot of Taliban, like refugees to Norway, and you're paying for it. While here, the same thing has been happening here in the UK. There's a lot of migrants or refugees coming from France, and the French just let them come over through the channel on the across the channel, and the government here just brings them in, gives them mobile phones. I mean, it's I think it's what happened in Rome, ancient Rome. You had the Vandals, all the barbarians, or Rome was like flooded as well. Some people might consider that not a very politically correct term, but it's synonymous with the fall of empires, that you try to destroy the culture. And how do you do that? Am I against immigration? No, because I wasn't born in England. I was born in Brazil, so it could be hypocritical for me to say that. But when you let too many people uncontrolled, and there's not enough infrastructure, yeah, it could disrupt things. I Hank, thank you for your super chat. North Korean silver coins, I haven't got one of those. Liam Jason thinks Bitcoin is going below 4,000 within 2 years. Well, I think the really key technical level for Bitcoin is now 30,000. We could rebound back to 40, but the trend doesn't look very good right now. Carlos Garcia, if the US dollar is the only world's fiat currency, what to exchange? Well, I think there's, over 190 fiat currencies in the world. The US dollar is the major fiat reserve currency. That's the other thing as well. Fiat currencies, countries print currency and they devalue the currency a lot of times to try to get an edge in exporting. So it's a race to the bottom. So when the major reserve currency, the United States, prints too much, everyone else will print because they don't want their currency too strong. And when but the only currencies that everyone can devalue against are gold and silver, because they're not political. And yeah, eventually that's what will happen. And that's why I personally stack gold and silver. I'm not telling people to do it, but yeah, that's the reason. But when you say exchange dollars, yeah, well, you exchanges for anything but dollars, and also anything but fiat currencies. Tommy Pierce, thank you for your super chat. Refined hayseed appellation, thank you for your generous super chat. Hex will break all crypto. I will look into it. I'm curious, and I guess you've caught my attention. So I'll have a look at Hex crypto. Is it? Let's have a look. Coin market cap. It's not in the top. There's another one, Hedera. Some people think could be new one, but anyway, I think the big wild card for the crypto space, in terms of volatility and also investment interest, is to keep an eye on Tether. I think Tether is like the Federal Reserve for the crypto market. And it's ironic because the crypto market's supposed to be decentralized. How can they have a central bank? Well, Tether creates Tether out of thin air. Lord Humongous, where's the 800 million ounces of silver, Bank of America? Well, they have they have a derivative position of 800 million ounces of silver. That doesn't mean they have the silver. It's just and they're probably short. So it's just a bet. It's just a paper position. So I don't think they have 800 million ounces. Oh, Girl, sorry, I didn't quite get what you're trying to say. Thanks again for your super chat. So the Norwegian government invited the Taliban for peace talks. I see. Yeah. Well, if the the Revolutionary War in the U.S., the rebels were considered terrorists, I guess, by the British Crown, but eventually they had to negotiate a treaty. So I know how this is, and also Israel. Before Israel was created, I think there was a lot of terrorist activity conducted against. I think even there was a King David Hotel that was blown up by Jewish terrorists in Palestine against the British protectorate there. So yeah, eventually they become part of the government. It's like Northern Ireland, Sinn Féin. They're a terrorist Irish organization. They've become part of the government too in Northern Ireland and Ireland. So yeah, it seems that it is outrageous, isn't it? But that's the way things work, unfortunately, the way things work. Super Seamster, check out Planet Lockdown. It's going viral. We must stand up against criminal tyrants. It's now or never. I will. I think I heard of that. I'm not sure if I've watched it. Billy moved. All right. Fed raises rates this week. No, I don't think they will. I think they might announce that they will do it in March, but I don't think they will raise rates this week. And the rate hike in March might not even happen because of what the stock market has been doing. I think the NASDAQ has lost 12% in the first 3 weeks or so of trading of 2022. We're seeing bond yields, even though the 10-year yield dropped quite a bit on Friday, it's still up about 25 basis points this year. So we'll have to see. And if I think the market is already discounting rate hikes, so who knows? And I think the geopolitical situation is hanging. It's like a cloud hanging over things. Maybe that's their wild card to have an excuse to cut rates or to not raise rates. Kojo Ose Bando, when will BRICS reprice their gold silver price? And as a follow up to this question, will countries like Turkey, UAE, Singapore, Malaysia join in any repricing? Well, I think the repricing will be done through the international market. And yeah, I mean, there's two things that affect gold prices in different currencies in those countries. It's the dollar price and also the exchange rate of their currency versus the dollar. So yeah, I think it will be a lot higher price when it happens everywhere around the world. Hopefully that answers your question. Rolf Steiner, yeah, 2% does not stop disinflation. That's right. People don't realize right now we're at 5, 7, or even 10%, and they're saying, "Oh, I think Lagarde this week said, oh, we are behind the U.S. in terms of growth. We don't have to raise rates." Yeah, but you're behind in terms of higher prices as well. And even if it comes back to 3 or 2, you're still losing 2 or 3 a year. I would say the only way to counteract the inflation or the rising prices we had in the last year and a half is to actually have prices go down. So we need to see, technically, we need to see negative CPI so that the currency doesn't lose value all the time. And we're never going to see that because they will never allow the currency to gain value, because for them it would destroy their Ponzi schemes in the stock and bond markets, I would say. Thank you again, Super Seamster, for your super chat. Joker Alpha, as Fed being a private entity, are they subject to fraudulent lawsuits? I would say that there's two, it's like a hybrid, the Federal Reserve System. You have the 12 individual regional banks, they're private, they're corporations. I guess you could bring lawsuits against them. But I think the Federal Reserve Board in Washington, D.C., that's a separate government agency. But yeah, they're private corporations. But the problem is getting the judges and the judicial system to challenge the Federal Reserve. But technically, I think it's possible. It should be possible. I think GATA have tried to do that in the past, but the judge didn't really didn't do anything. Yeah, check out GATA.org. They speak about that. Lord Humongous says, I ordered a Jim Cramer Goldman Sachs bubble head. Put the supply chain issue has really messed up delivery. Timo, do you believe the blue chip cryptocurrencies have a bright future? Well, there are thousands of cryptocurrencies, and what's blue chip now might not be blue chip in 5 years' time. So what I would tell people if they want to speculate in cryptocurrencies and altcoins is to take an amount of money and capital that you can afford to lose, split it up maybe into 5 or 10, and buy your favorite ones and just hold on to it and don't leverage. So that's what I would do, because if you remember the dot-com bubble in the 90s, there's a lot of companies that sprung up. They went public. They had .com on them. And yes, a lot of them survived. And Amazon, for example, has become, is it the biggest company in the world? So yes, you would have done well with Amazon, but some of them disappeared, like the street.com, in which Jim Cramer was involved. I think that's disappeared. In the UK, they had something called lastminute.com or doyou.com or .co.uk. Those disappeared. A lot of them disappeared. So you have to be prepared for it to become worthless. And you need to study. They come out with their, white papers and everything. And do your homework. Need a Billy Bubblehead in the Teespring store. Gold Money Guns. Yeah, I'm not sure if they do bubbleheads. I could look. Teespring store. Teespring store is good because I designed the products and they make it. I have looked into minting Billy silver rounds, but unfortunately, it's not really practical and economical for me to do it. Fast Eddie says Toronto, Canada, Walmarts have hardly anything available. Not surprising. Uh, I don't really understand derivatives. Could you explain them to me? Sure. That's a good question, and I haven't spoken about derivatives in a long time. Derivative is just an underlying bet on a bet on an asset. For example, derivatives really started, well, they go back many centuries, but in the modern financial system, they started out, I would say, in the 19th century in Chicago, where farmers and producers wanted to hedge their exposure to grains and agricultural commodities. So what they did is, yes, a farmer that grows wheat, and his price of wheat is X, and he can get X plus 2 in the futures market, like he can sell it in 3 months' time. He'll sell that and deliver in 3 months because he's covered his costs and has made a profit. So that's what it was used for, derivatives, to hedge an underlying commodity. But now it's been used to speculate as well. It's mostly used to speculate. So, for example, a call option is a derivative. So if you own Tesla shares, or you don't own Tesla shares and you think it's going down, for example, a put option, you buy 500 strike puts. It's just a bet on an underlying commodity, and you pay a premium for it. It doesn't show up on your balance sheet. And the thing about derivatives, they are very leveraged, so you don't have to put the whole money down because it's it's in the future, right? So, and unfortunately, derivatives are very dangerous. They brought down the whole banking system back in '07 and '08 because, yeah, the housing market got out of hand. People were mortgage-backed securities were rated AAA even though they weren't, and people bet on those mortgages. And the problem with derivatives is that they can bet, let's say the mortgage market was $1 trillion, and it probably was more. I'm just giving you a number, but there were like bets that total like 100 trillion. So derivatives are really dangerous, and with all the speculation, people might bet on a lot more than there is out there of the underlying. It's like someone in your street decided to open a derivatives for the value of the houses on that street. And let's say there was 10 houses and they're all worth $1 million. And someone came and said, well, I'm going to buy like $10 billion worth of derivatives on those houses. So if the house went up 10%, this person would make 100 million. So it got really out of hand. And that's what derivatives are. They're not necessary, and they are like a sign of this bubble fiat currency system. You couldn't have derivatives going out of control as they have in the last 30, 40 years if you had a sound money system. And unfortunately, in the crypto market, there's a lot of derivatives and leverage as well. So the crypto market was supposed to be a reply, a substitute for this corrupt fiat currency system. But unfortunately, the crypto market has fallen into that trap. So I have a derivatives file. If you go onto my YouTube channel and you look at playlist, there's a derivatives file. I've made a lot more, quite a few videos about it, and you can go there and check out what derivatives are. What I talked about here is very broad. Yeah. Silver Highwayman, when Bitcoin hits 900, I might buy. So we got another 7 minutes. Billy is masterminding the demise of the LBMA. Mark the Silver Shark thinks they created Bitcoin at MIT. I wouldn't be surprised. I guess you've been watching David Morgan, the Morgan Report, the crypto conspiracy. Black markets become the norm. There's a lot of black markets around. I think they will, because the tendency for countries in the West is to increase taxes, uh, to extract as much wealth as possible from the public, and it's going to get worse taxation, I think, because they borrowed so much money, especially in the last 2 years because of the pandemic. Pandemic. And if you look at Italy has very high levels of debt and taxation. They've had it for decades. And there's a huge black economy in Italy because they don't like, working hard and having to give their hard-earned wealth to the government that wastes it, and the government that is corrupt as well. Refined hayseed appellation, thank you for your super chat. Hex is top 10 coin. I think Refined Hayseed is trying to push Hex. Thank you anyway for your, I will look into it. Hex. Chase Bank in Las Vegas has no tellers at one branch. Rob says, a big run on New Zealand supermarkets getting very empty because of communist Jacinda. Yeah, I saw that she's also postponed her wedding. I think that's all theater. She's just trying to make it seem that everything is horrible. She's had to postpone her wedding. I haven't really read into it, but I saw the headline. Shane O'Donnell, do you like energy stocks for near-term gains while waiting for the precious metals? I don't think it's going to be near term. I think all commodities are going to do well, and energy stocks as well. And I think there are some there that have good dividends. I personally haven't got any energy stocks. I had some last year, but yeah, I think all commodities stocks are good longer term. That's my opinion. I'm not advising you to do it. The Big Lebowski, I haven't watched that. The Big Lebowski. Urban Sombrero or trucker ban. It could impact silver exports to the US. I'm not sure how the silver is shipped from Mexico to the US. If it is by truck, it could have an impact. And also from Canada. I mean, there must be some silver coming from Canada to the US. Canada is a big silver producer as well. Chris Conman, thank you for your super chat. I took a position in Freeport last week, partially from your touting it recently on your podcast. Do you think Freeport could still do well in the face of rising rates? Yeah, and I have Freeport. The other one that I have is Vale, VALE. It's a Brazilian commodity play. And Freeport is like copper and gold, I would say. So yeah, I think it will do well. Rising rates haven't rates have risen this year from 150 to 175, the 10-year, and silver's up, and gold is just so yeah, I don't see rising rates hurting uh precious metals. And why is that? Well, because they're always going to be behind the curve. They can't raise rates enough to stop the inflation because there's so much debt. So they're always going to be behind the curve. And even bond yields going up, I don't think they're going to go up enough. Dead Snake says, watch The Big Lebowski. Is that on Netflix? Netflix is an interesting company. That's dropped a lot. I think from 700 last year to below 400 recently. I think it could go further down just looking at the chart. Netflix, but I don't watch much on Netflix. My wife and daughter watch more there. Poseidon DeSoto, thank you for your super chat from Washington State. Stacking gold and silver. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for your super chat. D Worm Monaco 64, man of the year. No, I think it was Elon Musk last year. He was Time Magazine. They call it the person of the year. I wouldn't want to be Time Magazine person of the year though, because Adolf Hitler was the man of the year in 1938. He was the Time Magazine. So I wouldn't want to be related to him. All right. I'll take one more question and it's time to go now. It's 10 o'clock. Silver Highwayman is looking at Olin Ammunition Company and Lockheed Martin, a war play. Yeah. Oh, Rolf Steiner says Hitler was man of the year twice. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for participating. What's for dessert? Yeah, no dessert tonight. Anyway, thank you for participating. Thank you for all the comments and questions. And I wish everyone a great rest of the weekend or a good beginning of the week if you're in New Zealand. All those who've been here just for the first time, think about subscribing. And yeah, thank you again for all the super chats. I appreciate it. It helps. Thank you. Take care. Bye.